Thanks for joining me today. In this video, we are going to loom knit a chicken. I've listed all the supplies you need right here, so grab your things and let's get started. We're going to use double strands. Place the double strands together and we're going to make a slip knot. So make a little cross, wrap it around, and then take that middle part and pull up. You make a loop, and then we're going to place it on peg 1 right by the anchor peg, or you can place it also on the anchor peg. We're just going to tighten it a little, and then we're going to do the drawstring cast on. So I'm going to use my anchor peg to start, and you don't have to tighten it too much, but tighten it a little bit. And we're going to start by taking that yarn, placing it in the back of the first peg and then the front of the second peg. So we're going to go back, back, front, back, front, back, front, back. And we're going to continue doing this the entire way around the loom. So now we went around the loom, so we're going to place that working yarn in front of the pegs. And then we're going to take the bottom over the top. So for each peg that has a stitch on the loom, like right here, we're going to take this stitch right here and we're going to take it above the peg and knit over, just like this. So it's going to skip from every other, just like how we did from front to back and front to back. You'll only want to knit over on those pegs where there's double yarn, like this one. So when you're doing this wrapping around, I would advise only wrapping a few pegs at a time, and then take your other hand that your yarn tool is not using. So if, whichever hand you are, use the opposite hand to secure the yarn as you're wrapping it. So I'm just taking a few pegs at a time, and then I'm securing it with my left hand, and then with my right hand, I'm knitting over these few pegs with the double strands. You will want to do this the entire way around the loom. And your stitches might be a little tight, and that's okay. Don't panic, it's fine. For this project, actually, the tighter the stitches, the better. And you'll see why. But just continue around. But again, it might be a little tight, and that's normal for this type of cast on. We've about made it the full way around the loom. We only have a few more pegs here to knit over, and then I will show you what we're going to do next. So like I said, just continue wrapping, and you'll see the anchor peg here in a second. So as you can see, some of these are a little tight, but that's okay. So we only have a few more here. So I just have this I just have this peg, and then I have made it around. So when you get to this spot, you'll want to place that peg left right there. Keep that yarn over the peg, and now we're going to do the E-wrap stitch. So we're going to take our working yarn and make tiny little E's around the loom. Now, the stitches that are already on, if you have them midway. That'll give you some room, and it'll avoid the disc. It's going to be a little tight from knitting the bottom over the top on this one, and again, that's normal, but just continue wrapping around. Make yourself, give yourself some room and go around until you hit the anchor peg or your first peg, either one. So again, this is the E-wrap stitch. So here's our anchor peg. We're going to secure our yarn, and we're going to take the bottom loop over the top, and we're going to do this the entire way around the loom. Now for my chicken, I used 30 rows. So we're going to do 30 rows of the E-wrap stitch, and since we cast it on, this is going to be our first row. So if you want to do make a chicken like mine, you'll want to do 29 more rows, so a total of 30. If you have a bigger loom, you can make a bigger chicken, or you can even make a smaller chicken, but this is a 32 peg loom. So again, I did 30 rows of E-wrap. So really simple. Just keep a counter, mark on a page if you don't have a stitch counter. They also have apps for stitch counting if you are looking. There's a free app, and if you're interested in what I use, let me know in the comments and I can let you know. But now we're going to undo that anchor peg if you have it, just so some of the tension is released, because we won't be able to move very far with that yarn being stuck on there. So again, just push your stitches midway, mid peg. So in the middle of your pegs, push your stitches down, and then you're just going to continue wrapping for 29 more rows. Okay, I finished my 30 rows. Now we're going to do our bind off. So in order to do the bind off, you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to start at the anchor peg, put the working yarn on the outside of the loom and wrap it around 1.5 times, maybe a little more than that, depending but I would say 1.5 times should be just fine. And then take your scissors and give the yarn a cut. We're going to do our bind off now. So you'll need your loom tool. So we're going to take that working yarn now that we've cut it off, and we're going to place our stitches in the middle if they're not already, because we're going to take that working yarn and put it under that stitch that's on the loom. So we need room for that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just making room so I'm not struggling, just a little shortcut to make things a little easier. And we're going to start at the anchor peg or peg 1, and we're going to hook that stitch on the loop, pull that working yarn that we cut out from above. So again, with the hook, we're going to place that yarn below the stitch and pull it out over the top. So I'm trying to zoom in a bit so you can see this up close on how I'm grabbing this yarn and pulling it out from the peg from the top. And we're just going to do that for each one of the pegs. Now if it feels like it's getting a little hard to do, what you can do is slip the first few stitches off of the pegs, starting at peg 1 or the anchor peg, just to loosen up the tension a little so you're not struggling, and just do a few at a time. That may or may not be a factor for you, but just in case, it's just a little tip. So keep going all the way around the loom. We're doing our bind off, and then I will show you what to do next. We are about done, and I'm just taking the rest of the stitches off of the pegs. So just take your time. Okay, so now our project is off of the loom. So we are going to take our project and just try to straighten it out some so we can see what we're working with. And you can pull on those strings just a little bit for now, just to see where we're at. Some of the strings may look a little loose, and that's totally normal. So what we're going to do now is decide what side of the project is going to be the chicken's chest and tail feathers. So evaluate and see which one you like better. I mean, they both are very similar, but just sort of decide which side you want to make the chest and tail feathers, and then we'll go from there. So take that yarn, and we're going to gently just pull that string. Just like I said, we need to see what we're working with. So I decided on this side, so I'm going to take that little string and I'm going to start closing the hole a little bit. So we're just going to pull on it, adjust it, pull on it. If you've ever made a hat, this is very similar to the top of the hat. Our goal is to close that hole on top of the hat. So as you gently pull the string, you'll see the hole is closing. Like I said, just take your time. It'll all come together. You can pull at it, push, adjust it. You can make this chicken however you can visualize it, the way it's shaped, just with your fingers. And we're going to close this hole now. So we will need our darning needle. So I have my darning needle, and what I'm going to do is sew in this loose end here, and by doing that I'm going to pull it to where that little hole is going to be tight and secure. So we're just going to go in a circular pattern around this hole, and you will see that the hole will shut and it'll be tight and secure. So I'm happy with this, and now I'm going to take my darning needle and feed it through the middle, pull it into the chicken's body. There it is. We're going to pull it up, and then we're going to tie this in a knot, and that's going to secure it. So just tie it in a knot a couple times, and you don't even have to cut that if you don't want, because we're going to have stuffing. Now I'm going to pull on the strings just the same way as I did for the bottom. I'm going to pull the strings on the top, and I'm going to close that hole, but not all the way. If you'd like, you can place your stuffing into the chicken before doing this. For some reason, I waited till the very end, but we're just tightening that hole at the top, just like such. And if you see, now we're taking our darning needle and we're going to start sewing this up. So you can do the whip stitch or whichever stitch is your favorite, and I'll just show you up close how I'm doing mine. It's nothing fancy. I'm just, like I said, I pulled that top cord and now I'm using it to sew the chicken up. So again, it can be the whip stitch or whatever stitch is your favorite, and we're just gonna go very carefully along the top, making sure that we catch all those stitches, going back and forth to secure everything. And then we're going to take our stuffing and we're going to stuff the chicken. Again, you can probably do this before you get halfway through sewing the chicken up, but for some reason I didn't do that. But go ahead and stuff your chicken, and I just use polyfill, and I got it from Michael's, and I will list everything in the description box below, of course. So as you're stuffing the chicken, you'll just want to shape the way it looks. And once you're happy with that, then you can continue using your sewing and sew it up all the way to the top. So I'm happy with my amount of stuffing, so I'm ready to go ahead and close my chicken up. So again, we're going to take that same yarn that we were using and just continue with your favorite stitch and sew it completely up. Once you get to the end stitch, obviously that means there's no more stitches, but just take, make sure, pinch the chicken so you know that it's closed, and make sure you're catching those stitches. I'm happy with what I have here, so I'm just going to finish here, and then I'm going to sew into the chicken and hide the stitch, and I'm going to bring it on the outside of the body. So I'm going to place the needle inside and then pull it out to the side, and I'll show you here. So just shape it up as you want. You can see it's a little chicken. And like I said, I'm happy, so I'm done, and I want to get out of this now. Once you're done with that, you'll need to grab your crochet hook. And I know crochet is scary for some, but I promise you this is so easy. So just follow what I'm about to say. So take your red yarn and take your crochet hook And then we're just going to wrap the yarn around the crochet hook and find the very first stitch. Insert your crochet hook. And we're going to pull that through. So once you hook the yarn to your crochet hook, pull that through and you'll have your working yarn and then the other yarn dangling. And then wrap the yarn around the hook and pull it through that little loop. So now we're going to do a few double crochets, and I will also list a video down in the description box if you do not know how to do a double crochet on how to do one. It's very simple. So we're just gonna find those holes and make, so this is our second double crochet. So we wrap around, wrap, go through 2 loops. Now we have 2 loops on our hook, wrap again and go through 2 more. And then we will proceed with the next stitch. So wrap the yarn around the hook and insert it into the next stitch. Wrap the yarn around the hook again, pull through 2, wrap the yarn around, pull through 2 more. So we're going to do a total of 4, and then we're going to turn and we're going to go the other way. So we're going to find those stitches that we first did on the red and we're going to work into them. We're just going to take that loose end and hide it inside of the chicken. Just make sure it's secure, and we're going to put it inside of the chicken, like I said, and hide it. So we now have the comb of our chicken done. And now we're going to do the eyes and the beak. And like I said, you can squish and form your chicken however you want to. That's the fun of this. So we are going to have orange for the beak and black for the eyes. So we're going to take the darning needle again and use our orange to make the beak. So just thread your needle and we're going to go in from the side. And we're just going to find the spot that you like best to make the beak. And it's only a few stitches. So we're going to go pull it up through here. And like I said, go through the side. And I'm going through the very edge of the chicken to make the beak, the very end where we sewed it and where it's sort of an edge is. So we're going to go back and forth and you're going to find the same stitch on the opposite side, just like I did here. And now you may need to like straighten it like I'm doing, but just do a couple times and that makes the beak. And then we'll want to come out from the chicken the same way we went in to hide the string.